I'm Andrew Rudolph here, taking over for James a little bit. I've been in first for a long time, mentored lots of teams. Right now I'm a mentor on 233 and 1902. As you just saw, great profile on Team Smash. And we're going to go ahead right now. They're in a timeout, and Dan the man behind the curtain, he's going to tell you why we are in a timeout right now, actually. Dan?
Well, there's actually a couple of reasons why we're in a timeout. One, the first place alliance had some repairs to do. 624 actually broke the plate that was holding on their pneumatic compressor. So they were busy riveting that up. The other reason why they're having a timeout right now is they're having a discussion on the field right now whether they should replay one of the matches that we've had. There seems to have been some technical difficulties, and they're trying to figure out whether they should just let it go, or if they're just going to and keep on moving, or if they're going to replay one of those qualifying matches. So there's a bit of a dispute there.
That's a pretty big development if we have to replay that match. I guess we'll find out pretty soon if we come back to that.
I know, we want to make it fair for all the teams, and so if we have to replay a match, I honestly don't mind replaying a match. And anyways, that's more matches we get to watch and more entertainment value we get out of it.
Yeah, this game is really, really difficult to referee. There's 6 robots in the field hitting each other. There's those balls flying all over the place, trying to get the sequencing right. It's only fair to the teams who spent all this time working on their robots to get a fair fight. And I guess that's what they're talking about, to see if there really was a problem on the field.
For sure. And also one thing I noticed was during some downtime before matches today, I was looking at the touchpad, and apparently there's different menus that they have to flip through on the fly. So it's not simply where you press one button on the same area of a touchpad for penalties or for scoring. You have to flip through different pages or tabs, if you will.
Yeah.
So to have your eyes off the field just to input information can be troublesome, because you might miss another thing on the field, whether there's a score or even a penalty.
Yeah, it really makes you appreciate what the refs are having to work through to keep the score going here.
So please, as a personal favor, don't yell at refs, especially in South Florida, because that's where I'm going to end up being later in competition season. So.
All right, well, we have another break still out here, so we're going to go ahead and do another team spotlight for teams 1592 and 801. Those are actually twin robots that were built over in the Space Coast.
Hi everybody, we're here at 1592's Build Space, the Bionic Tigers. It's one day before Bag and Tag, and I'm here with Josh from 1592. Tell me, how'd the build season go for you this year?
Well, it's been pretty interesting. It's gone a lot smoother than we've had before. We've actually been able to powder coat it for the first time in a long time. We've been also trying some new things like pneumatics, and we also have some crazy systems on our robot, like our kicker. We're using two 50-pound draw, like 50 pounds per inch of draw springs. So it's about 100 pounds of draw per inch on the actual kicker.
Yeah, it's a lot of force there. When you first got the game in January, what was your sort of team's initial reaction and strategy when robot design is concerned? What did you want to do on the field once you saw the game?
Well, we knew it right from the bat. We're gonna want to kick it, because I mean it's the main focus of the game. And then whenever there's a game piece, you have to pick off the ground. We always find a way to get good at that, and we've done pretty well in the past. So we've definitely designed around picking up off the floor and being able to kick.
So why don't you walk me through some of the systems you have on your robot and sort of how they work to accomplish your goals this year?
So first what we have is the kicker right here. It's got the springs in the back, which are really big. And then this main piece right here is the actual gatherer / kicker, because the kicker is actually just this foot piece, and then the springs in the back right here along with this, because it was designed so that this would encase the actual kicker itself. And we draw it back with these cams right here, which we were actually shocked that it was able to do that with the 100-to-1 ratio gearbox. We also tried something else new with the pneumatics, which you can see here. We did gearboxes with a pancake pneumatic cylinder, so we can go from high to low. So we go from about 5 feet per second to about 18 feet per second.
Wow.
What you don't see here is LEDs, and we are going to have LEDs on here that will be programmed to tell us different status reports of the robot during live competition.
So it's actual feedback to your
Yeah, so we'll know when it's the tanks are ready to go, certain color. Transportation color will be just random colors or maybe orange. And what's really cool is that this just rocks back and forth.
Oh, okay.
So it goes out when it's out the position when it's currently, you can see, it looks kind of like a dinosaur.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's fantastic. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Back to you guys.
All right, so we're hearing there's some development going on behind the curtain, actually. So we're going to go down to Dan right now. He's got some story what's going on. So what's going on down there, Dan?
Well, there are actually two different stories. One was there was a question in not the last match, but the previous match on whether the referees scored the balls correctly, the assists. They went back over it, and they had determined that they had scored it correctly during the match. So that one was correct. The other one was that they're currently talking about is 1902 was using backup batteries as ballast on their robot. Now, technically, that's illegal because you're only allowed to have one battery on your robot. So if the referees determine that it was enough to affect the outcome of the match, then they may have to replay both of those bacon matches.
Wow, so
wow.
don't they have built into the rules that the robots are actually supposed to be re-inspected before finals? Did we find out if that happened?
Yes, they were re-inspected before finals. Unfortunately, either because the batteries were not on the robot at the time of inspection, or because or the referees or the inspectors just missed it. I don't know, but either way, they didn't actually catch it until after the matches ended.
So what does that mean? What's going to happen if it's deemed that was an illegal part on the robot?
Well, we're going to have to replay those matches, unfortunately. Both of those matches between 233, 624, 1902, and the 8th seed alliance, 179, 79, and 1251. So we may have a different outcome altogether.
Wow, that is huge. That could change everything, couldn't it, Gabe?
Yeah, definitely. So they probably have to put semifinals on hold as a result, so until they play through those matches.
Right, and I know we talked about before how Bacon took their arm off because they were a little top heavy. So it does make sense that they had those batteries in there as ballast. It would be kind of an unfortunate turn because odds are, Bacon's a very experienced team. They didn't just slap some batteries on there and wire them up in an illegal fashion. They were just on there.
Just for dead weight.
Exactly. So that's huge. Assuming that they go on, well, I guess we'll find out. They're going up against a relatively new alliance of robots. All these robots haven't really been around for very long.
With the newer teams, like especially with this upcoming alliance, what they don't lack in experience, it doesn't really matter because every year the game changes.
Right.
So even though like the other teams have more experience when it comes to finals and stuff, they could train their drivers and human players to be more ready for it. Some of these kids, they're high schoolers. Again, after 4 years, they're out. So they're just as nervous as the other teams as well. And it comes down to how much practice they actually had with the robot. So either way, the level of playing field is pretty much the same and identical on both sides.
Yeah, that's very true. 44-51, they were rookies here last year and they were finalists.
Yes, and they did excellent. They were great last year.
And 41-18, they seeded pretty well. They had a really good shooter. The whole alliance actually is pretty balanced as a team, pretty well-rounded. They all can play each other's positions. There's no one robot that can be really defended to shut the alliance down.
And that's really great with this year's game especially, that they have that much flexibility when one team could pick up the torch, pass it on to the other guy, and continue onward.
Right, with how rough and tumble this game is, it's not one robot that you have to shut down to win the matches. We've seen happen here.
Yes.
You shut the one robot down that scores a lot, and it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
But with a well-rounded alliance like we see here, they all have almost the exact same average scores in a match. it's going to be tough for that number 1 seed Alliance to know where to go. They might just be chasing whoever has the ball down the whole time, and that ball moves faster than the robots do.
Right. And one thing that's also amazing about looking at the scouting data that we have is that the Red Seed Alliance 233 and 624 are reliant during teleop to use the trust toss and their human player, whereas not so much on the other alliance. So they rely more on assists as well to keep keeping the cycle and keeping the ball progressing forward. So it'll be really interesting to see how they're able to influence the game, knowing that these two strategies are totally different but very pliable. So we've seen that, and moving forward, hopefully we're going to see enough defensive plays or jockeying for positioning, prevent 233 or 624 on being able to get in the spot where they want to go for trust tosses and just finishing the cycle out of frustration.
Right. Well, I mean, we've seen. When they went up against that number 8 seed Alliance, that was some of the most powerful robots we saw there. Yes. So we know just straight defense is not going to beat that number 1 seed Alliance. They can make shots under duress, no problem.
That's right. And so with the fact that it's going on, we need to make sure that these alliances know how to communicate with one another. I mean, they play really effectively to get to this point, to the semifinals. But again, you don't want to take unnecessary risks to have your robot get damaged or shut down, like 179 did during quarterfinals.
Right.
And the same thing with 1592 moving forward. So even though you want to take more risks, playing aggressively and defensively, will it last towards the end of the competition? We don't know. So,
speaking of not taking risks, the refs down there, they're not taking any risks. We just heard from down there. They're actually making a new technology. I've heard of it. It's called a telephone.
Yes.
They made a telephone call, actually. They're on the phone with New Hampshire, with FIRST, to find out what the ruling is in this situation. That's one of the great parts about FIRST is they have people up there staffed for all these events to answer these questions. That's a dancing
Grouch?
Moss Man. I think that's
Oscar
actually the Swamp Thing.
Oh, Swamp Thing.
A little mascot dance-off. Gotta love it. FIRST is entertaining. The people are just as entertaining as the robots, I think.
Yeah, they are, definitely. Oh, it's a dance-off.
Oh.
Check it out.
Dare I say electric dancing?
Definitely, but it'll be interesting to see what the official ruling is with FIRST headquarters on that, and that's a really important rule. I mean, technically, the batteries aren't being used to power the robot, which is the intent, I feel, of the rule, but at the same time, the rule just states can't have more than one battery on the robot physically. So
right.
We'll see where it goes with this rule.
And like we said before, the robots are pre-inspected before they come into eliminations.
Right.
So it is a big question. Were they on there? Did the inspectors miss it? If that's the case, if they just missed it and they still passed them, whose fault does it come down to? So yes, we know they're on there now. Maybe it isn't against the rules, or is against the rules, but they'll have to take those batteries off. I guess they could be allowed to add some other type of ballast onto the robot and get re-inspected before they go on the field.
Yeah.
It's in the rules that a robot, they can ask for re-inspection at any point during the tournament.
That's
and if
right.
you're found to be outside of those rules, you're not allowed to compete. I've never heard of a retroactive penalty.
Right, exactly. I mean, I wanted to be as fair as possible. And so, if retroactively, if they find it was deemed illegal, and just go ahead and replay the quarterfinal matches, by then, so be it. But if it was almost like the robot inspector's fault for not catching it, you almost want to keep the competition moving forward. So from here on out, then just allow that rule to be initiated at that point.
I guess there's a lot of ways that the inspectors can look at it. It's a tough call. So it looks like we've got Jesse downstairs behind the curtain talking with 1744. Jesse, what do you got?
Hi, it's Jesse, and I'm here with Louis from 744. I've heard defense has been a little crazy, and you had to change your strategy, right?
Yes, we've in terms of defense, we've just had to be in low gear a lot of times and kind of be solid, and we've had to change up, and a lot of teams, instead of being in different zones, have had to move around the entire field and kind of protect the ball.
Can you tell me about the air tank that you added?
Well, we found out we were having problems with our shooter pulling up to its shooting position with its air cylinder, and we determined that it must be that we have a low air supply. Now, we couldn't hear or feel any leaks in any of the air and problems, so we believe it's the compressor overheating or lacking, so we added a third air tank to charge before match. That way we have extra air throughout the entire match.
So do you think this will improve your gameplay for later on?
Yes, I believe this will allow us to just shoot more and bring the pickup mechanism back and forth a lot faster. That way we can grab the ball and get it in our possession faster.
Thanks so much for your time. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jesse. That's some good insight. That's a good point that you're seeing there. Same thing that we're seeing with Bacon. They have 6 weeks to build the robot, but they're by no means perfect at the end. They look like they're running great out there, but there's a lot of work and development that still goes in. A great example there of adding that extra tank, the air compressors that they put on the robot, they don't have a very high duty cycle, and what that means is they're not designed to run for a long time straight through. And when we get to these elimination matches, they're running so hard they'll overheat and they can draw too much amperage, cause a lot of problems. So that's a pretty great solution that 744 came up with. Add another tank so that compressor doesn't have to run nearly as much.
There's much, yeah, and it relieves some of that pressure from a lot of the moving parts that's on the robot. Now with that said, like with the extra tank, again, it's more complexity to the robot, so you have more chances of things just not failing, or not working right or smoothly. So that's a risk they take, but they feel it's necessary. And at this point, I agree with their move to add an extra tank to their robot.
Another interesting thing that they talked about there was he said we're running in low gear a lot. Some of these robots have 2-speed transmissions, and it's not like a car where you use a 2-speed transmission to get going.
Yes.
They actually use a lower gear to have a lot more torque and pushing power, and that's what he's saying is we're in our low gear playing a lot of defense. This game has a lot of defense. We're seeing if you go down close to the field, that carpet is almost threadbare from how much pushing's been going on there. It is torn up. It's pretty intense out there.
That's right, and I think after every few regionals, they just scrap the carpet and use new ones, and you have to, make it even and maintain the level of traction on the wheels appropriate to what's on the field.
And it's something that happens as we get towards the end of the tournament now. I mean, that carpet isn't perfect. I mean, you might even see it affect some teams autonomous. It's happened before where teams are going, they slip, they get. You have to make your robot not that precise that it needs to work on a perfectly smooth surface the whole time.
That's right.
So we're still waiting to hear what's happening there. Yesterday we actually got to talk to Greg Hale, who works at Disney World. Dan, who's behind the curtain now, had a really interesting conversation with him. So let's check it out.
I'm here with Greg Hale. He's the Chief Safety Officer and Vice President of Walt Disney Parks and Resorts Worldwide. Greg, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, great, Dan. It's a lot of fun to be here.
So, what skills from FIRST do you think students need to know to engineer attractions at Disney?
FIRST is all about team building and creating new things that nobody's ever done before, trying to do it better than anybody else. That matches exactly what we try to do at Disney. So we're always doing new things and doing them in compressed time frames. We've got a limited budget. We've got to work with the whole team. Those skills just apply directly to Disney.
So a lot of kids grow up thinking that they want to be an Imagineer at Disney. But I understand that there's a difference between what the Imagineers do and what ride and show engineering does. Tell me about those differences.
Well, Imagineering is our creative arm that dreams up the new theme parks, new attractions, new shows and rides, and then executes them and builds them all around the world. The Ride and Show Engineering Group is primarily responsible for supporting the rides and attractions and rebuilding them to last 50 years after the project team, Imagineering team, is finished. But they also design and build for Imagineering rides, animatronic figures, new technologies that are used all around the world.
All right. A little bit of a softball question. What's your favorite attraction?
Boy, that is actually a hard question because I've been involved in so many with my 25 years at Disney. But I have to say Tower of Terror is probably one of them because it's an incredible machine. Amazing amount of engineering goes into that to drop people, even pull the elevator shaft down faster than gravity. And we've got it all around the world, and nobody else has it but Disney.
Walt once said, if you can dream it, you can do it. What has been one of your dreams that you helped come to fruition at Disney?
I would say one of my, biggest impacts in dreams was FastPass. So I've got the original patents on FastPass, and that's something that people didn't think could be done because we'd operated our attractions the way we had for so long. They said they didn't believe it, but once we started rolling it out, couldn't get enough of it. We've rolled it out around the world, and and billions of people now around the world have used that.
And a lot of companies have imitated it too.
Yeah, tried to imitate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if a student wants to work at Disney, what's the best advice that you can give them?
You know, you got to be persistent. You got to hang in there. It's an amazing place to work, and so get your foot in the door. One way or another, interning is the best because then you're into an actual engineering area. But if you can't do that, there are so many people that I've met that are Jungle Cruise captain, but they're got a master's in mechanical engineering, and they that was their way to get their foot in the door, and they surface. So they're people that just got to keep banging on the door and find a way in. And once you're in, there's amazing career paths within the company.
What's your favorite thing about being an engineer at Disney?
I think it's actually it's a playground. Yeah, we do everything. We operate a city twice the size of Manhattan Island here in Florida, where we operate the hotel, the restaurants, the rides, the transportation, the power plants, the construction company, the manufacturing company. And so we operate the entire city. And so as an engineer, you get to do all of that and develop things that no one's ever done.
Yeah, you kind of have to be multi-talented.
Yeah.
What kind of personality do you think makes a good engineer at Disney?
You know, we value, of course, technical skills for engineers, but we have we put a value on how you engineer things and how you deal with other people, and it's all about people and working with teams and helping each other. So there's a big mix of engineering, and then also you've got to really respect other people and work well with everyone.
So from working at Disney, a lot of people have legacies at Disney. They have windows on Main Street. What would you like your legacy to be at Disney?
You know, a lot of our technologies that I've developed over the years have been part of teams to develop from FastPass to, there's been a lot for guests with disabilities. We've developed handheld captioning for guests that are deaf, descriptive audio if you're blind, that you can ride our rides and attractions, and we've actually allowed the National Park Service and museums and sporting arenas and other areas to use that technology, and it's in 23 national parks right now. So I guess my legacy would be to just doing my part to help make the world a better place.
I think you did a fantastic job with the reimagineering of the disability system.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
But thank you for joining me, Greg. It's been a privilege, and I look forward to seeing you out there on the field.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dan. This is my 16th year emceeing the Florida Regional and 21st year, I think, with first overall. There's no program I've ever seen that impacts kids and families and even the mentors in a way that FIRST does. So I'm glad to be here and be part of it.
All right. Back to you guys.
Well, Greg Hale's a really interesting guy. He's actually the first guy ever to MC a match that wasn't named Woody Flowers, and that's pretty huge. He's been here doing it for 16 years, as long as the regional's been around.
Amazing.
He's a really cool guy. It was fun. I got to talk to him a little bit on the side, and all the years through here, I mean, he's always the guy down in the field. He's always done it. So it was pretty cool to meet him and learn about his real career.
Yeah,
not just the guy on the field.
No, I mean, he's always been consistently coming here, and it's great to see his presence here, even after all these years. He's seen the Florida Regional grow from its infancy to what it is right now, and it's really great to have these people keep coming back and giving back more and more to this organization.
Absolutely. So we're still waiting to find out what's going on, and in the chat room, we've been monitoring it on the roboshow.net.
That's right.
And Andy Grady, who's he's the voice of the Northeast. He's been around longer than the Florida Regional, actually, in first. Sorry,
Not
Andy.
to date him or anything.
He's kind of the same opinion of us right now. I guess we're saying is if the inspectors missed it, they should still move on.
Right.
But on the other side of the coin, let's look at that. If you're on the side that lost to that,
yeah,
it kind of stinks to lose to what potentially was an illegal robot. You don't want to leave the arena with a bad taste in your mouth.
No, not at all. And also the potential of trying to replay those matches. We don't know how it's going to play with a DQ. Essentially, what it would amount to. So either way, it could swing to both sides. We understand both sides of the argument, what's valid, but that's the struggle that the head ref is going through with the FIRST HQ, because this is not anticipated. I don't remember this ever happening, retroactively calling back on a play like this, or even during finals. So we'll see how it plays out, how it pans.
We've seen robots that are called illegal, but it's always before a match happens that it's like, hey, that pole is sticking out in the wrong spot. You can't do that.
Right.
and then you have to fix the robot. Sometimes they pull them off the field, but I've never heard of it after. But, you know, Jennifer, who's our head ref,
Yes.
she's been our head ref for 10 years
God.
now, I want to say.
Sounds
a long
about
time.
right,
She's
yeah.
very experienced. She actually is one of the refs at the World Championship on the biggest stage there is.
Yes.
So she's going to make the right call for the event.
Right.
She knows the rules. I mean, I've watched some matches standing back there with her, and she is on top of everything. And it's almost surprising that she didn't notice it before the robot got on the field.
Right. Well, considering also like how bare Bacon's robot is, 1902, they took off their whole arm mechanism. I mean, it was only supported by 2 pins, and so it's really easy for them to take out and everything. But they should be able to see relatively well inside the robot. But
right. I mean, actually, I went down there
yeah.
before I came on here, and I was looking at the robot. They actually have some of 624's toolboxes duct taped and zip tied inside the middle of the chassis. It's actually really, really funny to see because he's like, yeah, it's all 624 material. At first, I'm thinking, like, is that a fastener in there? And it's literally
a toolbox,
a bin of fasteners. They have like 4 of them there, taped together with big zip ties, all in the bottom of the chassis down there to get that weight back to the fighting weight.
Right.
As we've seen with how much pushing there is, all these robots have a maximum weight of 120 pounds before they add a 20-pound bumper, before they add a 13-pound battery. You want to be up at the full punching weight. Music's coming down. I was looking to see if they're going to make an official announcement. I see George walking around our okay, so they're having a meeting actually right now. All the drivers from
quarterfinals.
It looks like it's all of the quarterfinals. Coaches are there.
I don't know if we get a camera on the field.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know if we can see it, but yeah, it's on the. I guess it's on the left side. You see that big huddle of people. Deanne's dancing. I don't know what that was about, but Jennifer, our head referee, she's explaining something. Hand motions is really all I can see. It'd be love to be down there hearing this. Looks like Dan actually is trying to get down there, find out what's going on for us. Wow.
It just looks like everyone's listening very intently to what's going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
The whole arena is standing up, but we know because we've got Dan down there, we know more of what's going on than the audience does.
Unless they're tuning in on their smartphones,
unless
and listening to us.
You can watch us online. Thanks to Stream Monkey for the multi-platform viewer right there.
That's right.
So I guess we're still waiting to find out what's happening.
I'm really glad that they're doing this. They're letting the teams know that are effective, firsthand. Hey, this is what we heard from first headquarters. This is how everything's going to pan out and play. And the teams have an opportunity for a rebuttal or counter rebuttal, but after it comes down from first headquarters, it's usually really hard to budge on that topic.
I mean, it's coming from the top.
Yes.
And I've never heard of Jennifer making a call up there. I've been to another regional.
Yes.
Actually, when we were in South Florida last year, they had to make a call down there because a game piece actually hit the e-stop switch and shut the robot off.
I remember
that.
Yes.
But they called down there just to say, like, what has that ever happened before? They knew they had to replay the match because that was a field fault.
Yes.
But in this case, I mean, it's bizarre. It's pretty extreme, actually.
Especially in week 3. You think everything would be ironed out.
Everything would have happened at this point in first, right?
Exactly.
They know everything.
But apparently not, and especially at Florida. So we just have to keep waiting and listening and see what's going on. And it's suspenseful because, like, you mentioned, most of the folks in the stands have no idea what's going on and don't have that direct feedback, to what's going on behind the scenes.
So they just broke out. Looks like 179's drivers, I can identify them by their green shirts, were taking a jog. So I don't know if they're
trying to get their robots ready and coming back.
I don't know if they're
pits.
going back into the pits to get their robots. I don't know if they wheeled them back already. Looks like Pink's going back into the line. So
Pink's drivers over there. Looks like Bacon and Pink
they're taking their controls
out.
down. So I don't know if we're going to have a replay here. Looks like our number 1 alliance is actually, they're going back into the back. So it looks like George is getting the full explanation. Our game announcer.
Yeah, with
from
one of the
referees.
refs. Yes.
So we might get to hear what the decision is.
Looks like Dan's about to take stage.
I'm really curious as to what's happening. I mean,
I would just have the head ref just go up and explain it.
Okay, here we go.
All right, here we go.
We have the verdict. We are moving on to the semifinals, but there has been a change. During the matches between Alliance number 1 and Alliance number 8. It was deemed that a robot had changed their configuration and had not gone back to re-inspect that configuration. Their configuration in both of those matches was deemed illegal, and it was egregious. So, thus, a team on the Red Alliance for those matches has been issued a red card for each of the matches. And that means that Alliance 8 is actually moving on to the semifinals. So that's Team 79, and I'm trying to remember their partners.
Team
179 and 1251. We'll be moving on to the semifinals, and unfortunately, because of this red card initiation, 233 and 624 and their partner 1902 are disqualified and will be out of the tournament. Let's give them a round of applause for their great competition. The headrest rulings are final.
It seems like it's final. So with that said, it seems like the red cards are given to the Alliance, the number 1 seed Alliance 233, 1902, and 624. As unfortunate as to hear that, we won't be seeing them for the rest of the tournament. A little demoralizing to see that we won't see more competitive play from those teams, but it's also unfair for the 8th seed Alliance to lose in that fashion. Same with first seed Alliance, but the rules are the rules as written. I just have to follow them to keep the competition fair for everyone that's competing, especially nationwide.
It's really tough for I feel really bad for the number 1 Alliance, mostly because they really, really won. They didn't just win. They really, really won. But, you know, like you said, that's the rules. It's unfortunate that they didn't get inspected, but
it's also the responsibility of the whole Alliance to make sure that they go through reinspection.
Exactly.
And that's something that we've made apparent. It's unlikely of that to happen, but as it's written, we have to follow the rules as it's played.
233, right? I mean, they've been here for 16 years. 624, 3-digit numbers have been around since at least 99.
Yeah.
So, or 2000. So
they know better.
They know better.
Exactly. They know better. So,
but that number 8 seed Alliance is no slouch whatsoever.
That's right. Team Alliance shutdown. I mean, they're going to be very tough with the upcoming matches. We need to go ahead and see exactly how everything pans out. So it looks like we have Dan behind the curtain with one of the coaches from Pink. So we'll go ahead back to you.
I'm here with Andy Bradley, Woody Flowers finalist award winner, and coach on Team Pink, one of the team members that was just disqualified. Andy, how do you feel?
Oh, well, obviously disappointed. You know, you work and take care of every detail that you can. And to lose this way, it's very, very disappointing, you know, for the kids, but not so much for me because I'm here to help the kids, but for them. But yeah, it would be nice to, I mean, if you go out by losing to a better Alliance, that's good for them, but to go by on a rule violation, but you know, they make the rules for a reason.
Yeah.
And it was a clear violation.
Did you talk with your Alliance partners, and did you see beforehand that they were violating the rule?
Yes. Well, what it was, let me just go back very quickly. The robot had a big collector mechanism on top, their shooter, but it was very heavy. And for our Alliance, what we were hoping for was a primarily defensive robot that would play good defense, but we didn't want them to tip over. Oh, closer to my mouth, you said. Thank you. Didn't want them to tip over. So we asked them to take that off and add some ballast to the robot so they'd be a low blocking robot, which they did. Unfortunately, they used robot batteries, okay, which I didn't see in the rules where that's a violation because I don't think it is, but then they went back and reweighed. But apparently they didn't go back and get an official inspection. And so when they came out in the field and played, we thought, you know, are you inspected? Yeah, we're inspected because the inspector said it was good. But it really wasn't an official inspection. And you're not allowed to change your robot configuration, you know, at any time after the final start. And so because of that, they were disqualified for each of those 2 matches. And in the finals, if one of your Alliance members is disqualified, the entire Alliance is disqualified. So it boiled down to, we effectively lost both of our first matches and are knocked out. Again, disappointing because we thought we had a really great Alliance and we're going to go a long way with it, but it's just really
I do too. You're going to be at South Florida, right?
No, actually, we're going up north, going to Maryland, going to go visit Washington, D.C., and we can compete up there. We're excited, though. You know, it's really winning and losing for the mentors is one thing. We just want them to perform well and the kids to be excited about it. And in that we've really succeeded. So we're really looking forward to Maryland and then hopefully championship afterwards.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, you are giving a good example by showing that you're following the rules and you're accepting the responsibility. And I've seen quite a few teams come up to you and they say they're giving you sympathies and stuff.
And the thing of it is, as a mentor, you're out here for years and years, and you see the same faces every year. You're with them some years, you're against them. You're basically friends who meet up once a year to go play robots together. So, in our matches where we beat Dan, he came in, from the Swamp Thing, thank you, Dave from Tech Tigers. Everyone, we're all friends, so, you win, you lose. It just happens that way, so it's okay. And in fact, if I were in their position and I knew about this, I believe I'd do the same thing because this is a competition, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for talking with me, and see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Dan.
It's disheartening, but it's a hard pill to swallow, and it's a lesson learned. Haven't made a mistake before, and I'm positive they're not going to make it again from here on out. So.
And I think Mr. Bradley Andy there really wrapped it up at the end. Said, if I was on the other side of the curtain, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have protested that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. That's how it is. So with that, we've got a whole new semifinal.
That's right. This is going to be completely different from what we envisioned before, what we're speculating, because the alliance tree has been mixed up and moved around as a result. So we actually need to print these sheets out again to get the update. So we weren't even prepared for the new matches. So maybe FRC Spider could update us on that. But in the meantime, we're talking about a very strong offensive or a very strong defensive robot alliance, right. Alliance number 8. And then with that, we're going to also have those rookies, the pretty decent second-year teams, going at each other. So like we said before, it's going to be a very different dynamic. Now they have to readjust their strategy, accordingly to that. So hopefully we can see a lot of great matches from here on out, and very close matches, if that's the case.
I think that this number 8 seeded alliance is going to struggle more to figure out a strategy against this other alliance than the number 1 alliance. Number 1 alliance, you knew Pink and 624 were the robots that were going to score.
Right.
Like we said before, with these second and third year teams, they're all a scoring robot.
Yes.
They can all score. So they can't just say 1251, go shut down 624 now.
Right.
It's, okay, do we shut down Robots to Garage, or do we shut Roaring Riptide?
Right.
They can all do it. I don't know which way it's going to go.
I don't know either from here on out. I mean, with the 8th seed alliance, very good with defense and shutting down, but it's not enough. And that's something that I think this upcoming 2-year team has the advantage, because they're going to be consistently shooting, and it's not just one. Like you say, it's all 3 of them have been able to do it. So I would almost even say that it's not defense at this point. If you're going to shut them down, it's disruption.
Right.
So I would expect 8th seed alliance to be on here on out to not so much shut down, but just disrupt the cycle. And I think that they need to key in on that. The same way, I guess, like in football, it's not about tackling the other guy, it's causing that fumble.
Right.
That's going to be really important.
Right. Causing interference is going to be big. The autonomous is pretty close on both. Sounds like we're finally going to get underway down there in the field. So let's go down to the field and see what's going on.
In red, Alliance 5 in blue. We've had Barry do the roller coaster. We've had a little bit of a roller coaster here this afternoon. Probably one of the longer breaks, but let's get it started. You guys want to see some robots. So we started off with Team 1251, the Tech Tigers. And their partners, the mighty Team 79, Team Crunch. Add 100 to this previous number and you end up with the 179. The Children of the Swamp. Down on the Blue Alliance with another upset, we've got Team 3998, Redneck Robotics. And their partner, Team 4118, Roaring tie. Alongside them, we got Team 4451 Robots Garage. The bots are on, the gates are locked, and the green light means go. Drivers, behind the line. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, we're back with some autonomous robot action. Shoot and score twice for red. Blue Alliance twice, shooting and scoring. Robots Garage gonna have to do something with that Blue Alliance ball. There they go, going for the low goal. Pushing it in. Blue Alliance, autonomous balls are clear. Red Alliance gonna try to do the same, 179. Grabbing control of that red Alliance ball, shooting, scoring is Swamp. Now here comes the Blue Alliance. Redneck Robotics moving the ball down the field. 2 assists accumulated on that ball. Gonna try to go for a third one, or are they just gonna go right to their favorite spot? There they go. Shooting, scoring. Here's Crunch now. Second assist for that Red Alliance ball. They're moving into scoring position. Gonna pass it off to Team 179. That's the Swamp Thing. Here it comes. 3 assists, high goal. Big points for the Red Alliance. They take the lead now, 105-71. Hard defense being played by Redneck on Redneck Robotics by the Swamp Thing. They grab the ball, head to their spot. Oh, and they're hit just as they shoot by the Tech Tigers. 79 with the second assist. Passing it over to Swamp for the third assist. They're lined up, they're shooting, they're scoring. Shot and a miss by our Blue Alliance. 145-71. 30 seconds left. Red Alliance is pulling away. They're starting their next cycle. Crunch with a tenuous possession of that ball. They're moving across the field. Gonna hand it off to Swamp. 10 seconds left. Roaring Riptide scores a low goal for Blue. Red Alliance Robot Swamp Thing shooting late, but it's not good.
Amazing. Isn't that?
Like we said, I mean, I don't think I've seen an Alliance play that well together, period.
Yet.
I mean, talk about coming out of the ashes, that number 8 Alliance just, like they were down, you know, they lost, they were out, and they just came out and did, oh, here comes the scores.
Wow.
Red Alliance.
Came out swinging hard.
Yeah.
Until
I mean, and it was pretty much tied out of autonomous.
Right. It was almost tied, and from there on out, they not only disrupt the cycle, they stopped, and each of the members on the Red Alliance took turn essentially playing defense.
Yeah, it was like zone defense you have in basketball. They were kind of in their areas, rotating out as the ball came by or whoever they knew they had to stick to, and they all had a plan and knew what to do.
Exactly. It was so conscious seeing that on the field, because I saw like 12-51 playing D on 44-51, then pulling back to get ready for an assist or even to score. And so it's almost like a role reversal. It's like, all right, it's my turn to go play. They pull back, get ready to push the red ball forward and continue forward. And in the meantime, while he pulls back, you'll see Swamp coming back in to go ahead and play D on the same bot that that was previously being harassed, and keeping the ball just in one spot.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
So I think we have is Janelle down there. We're not ready. Okay, we're gonna go to 179 a little bit. They were before the match started. They had them. So let's move on now. We're gonna go to semifinal 2. I mean, I haven't even thought about it, in a while. This is number 2 versus number 4, I believe, right?
I think so, if I recall correctly.
Well, either way, we've got some really solid teams on the field here. 180 Spam. I think they've got the fastest pickup there is on the field. They get the ball so fast.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, with Spam, they have to watch out with how they possess the ball. because if harassed enough times, they can lose possession of that ball from the robot's grippers. So, and usually it's even more critical right before they shoot. So they need to be very conscious to their placement. Also, other people around them who's going to harass them. And not to say that they're aware of it, because they've been driving for, I believe, for 2 solid weeks before they bag and tag their robot. And on top of that, their drivers are excellent. I've seen them fired and shoot with 2 robots on top of them just fine.
And 1592, they went undefeated on the day. They've got a really great drive base, and their shooter's pretty solid too. 2 of probably the best shooting robots other than we saw in the number 1 alliance, maybe even better.
That's right.
So it looks like we do actually have 179 down behind the curtain with Janelle. They're going to talk about what just happened in the match and what happened before that with the ruling. Janelle?
I'm here with Christian Olsen from Team 179, Children of the Swamp, the number 8 seeded alliance captain that is now back in the Orlando Regional. So Christian, what are you feeling right now?
I honestly don't feel good at all. I mean, I know what the final call was, and that's what we have to stick with. But it's really, really painful to see a team. I mean, I've been on first. This is my 4th year, and I've known Bacon, I've known Pink, I've known a lot of other people, and it goes to the heart, and it makes you really just want to cry about it.
We know you're very upset for that, but also at the same time might be very happy that you're back in the Orlando Regional. You did just win that match, so congratulations. Is there anything that you're going to change how you play next time, or you're kind of just going to keep it the same?
We usually try to switch up our strategy, so hopefully that we'll be able to get back in there. I mean, it feels good, but as I said before, my heart goes out to the team that played before us. They played hard. They played very good. I saw what Bacon did with their bot to modify it, to change it up a bit, and that was a really smart move. It's just what happens in the end it's what happens in the end, and it does not make me feel good at all.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us, and I'm sorry, but also congratulations on winning that match.
Thank you.
Back to the studio.
We're going to quickly go back down to the field. They're introducing the second semifinal match. Let's do it.
On their way to the regional victory, we're going to start off with the Alliance captain, Team 744.
From Fort Lauderdale, Florida, it's Shark Attack.
And here they are, the Trailblazers, baby, Team 1772.
From Brazil, the Brazilian Trailblazers.
And rounding out, we got Team 3932.
From Boca Raton, Florida, the Dirty Mechanics.
The bots are on, the gates are locked, and I'm ready for some robot action. Here we go, drivers behind the line. 3, 2, 1, go.
Red making 2 up high. Looks like blue just made one. I think they got it just as it was hot. 45-35 lead so far for the Red Alliance. (1772) Brazilian Trailblazers shooting, missing. 744 having a ball, trying to make it up, and in it goes. Blue still needs to get that second ball in order to begin their cycle. 180 spam. Gonna take a shot up and over the truss to their human player. Human player is gonna load it back into Spam's robot. Oh, looks like it might have been bobbled. Spam up and into the high goal. Extending Red's lead by 20 points. The Trailblazers with the blue ball, making their way. They're on the red side of the field. 744 trying to take a bite out of Spam. Oh, off the upright. 1772 gets the blue onto their side of the field, trying to get control of it again so they can then take a shot. 49-01, playing some heavy defense against the Trailblazers, but here comes Shark Attack to help out their partner, pinning 49-01 just long enough for 1772 to get the shot off. It is a tie game, folks, 66-66 with 40 seconds left. 39-32 up and over the truss. That's the Dirty Mechanics passing it to their alliance partner, Shark Attack. Meanwhile, Red taking control of the game, getting it into the high goal. 20 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. 180, toss it over the truss. 8 seconds. Can the teams get last second points? 3, 2, 1.
A great tag team at the end, just to deny Blue from finishing that cycle.
That was not nearly as coordinated as the match before by any means.
No, not at all.
I mean, it could have gone either way, and it did. I mean,
yeah.
It came down to the last 30 seconds. Looked like the Red Alliance overshot. They were trying to get a trust toss to the human player, overshot it, and here come the scores.
There it is.
So it looks like we said, Red Alliance took the win. That was pretty impressive.
It is, and even at one point, Red even lost their cycle time going. They were running and chasing the ball, and same with Blue. And Blue seemed to gain momentum back again, but not with not enough time. So
yeah, it was it was so close.
It's close. It was going back and forth.
Yeah, that was a great match. That's really what we want to see out there. But you saw two opposite plays there in back-to-back matches, right? You had kind of like what I like to call like the T-ball match, where there was the ball and there was just this wad of robots following it around. And if you've ever been to a T-ball game, that's what happens. That's where the match before, the robots were really good about playing, keep that robot away from that robot so that we can not let them score. And it showed that the experienced team showing what they know how to do.
I love that analogy, by the way. It's so accurate to see all the robots, as a stampede going back and forth with the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think coming up now, back to semifinal one?
Yes.
What can that number, I guess, let's call them the second and third tier alliance. What can they do to beat this number 8 seeded alliance?
I think they should stick with their plan and focus really hard and just being able to support each other. I think if they're able to support each other and moving the ball back and forth and forward, they'll be great. 8-seed Alliance is really good with zone defense. I mean, they were spot on. Like, I didn't see any loss in time and the effectiveness and the communication behind the wall. And so I think they need to be on par or even better when it comes to communicating effectively what their strategies and what their goals are throughout the match.
Actually, if you think about it, that Alliance is kind of at a disadvantage going into that match. They weren't scouting against that Alliance.
No, you're right.
They were looking at the number 1 seed of the Alliance to figure out how do we play number 1 side of the Alliance. And then they have to flip their strategy. Now they saw how they're playing.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to, now they kind of know what's going on. We might see a rubber match here. We'll find out. It sounds like they're getting things going down there. So I guess we'll get down on the field.
To take it on to the finals. So we're going to start it off with Team 79.
Team Crunch.
And their partner, Team 179.
The Children of the Swamp.
And alongside them, we got Team 1251.
The Tech Tigers.
Blue Alliance, this match, they need the victory. They want to take it to the third and final rubber match. Starting off, Team 39-98.
Redneck Robotics.
And alongside them, we got Team 4451.
Robots Garage.
And here we go, 41-18.
Roaring Riptide.
We've got the bots on, we've got the gates locked. And green light means go. Drivers behind the line. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, here we go in autonomous mode. All three red robots moving forward, shooting. 2 of them make. All 3 blue robots shooting and scoring. Blue with the lead. 65-50 as drivers take control of their machines. We got some blue flag waving. Technical foul going to be called on the Blue Alliance. We'll have an update for that at the end of the match. That's going to erase any lead that Blue had after autonomous. 179 cleaning up the field of any autonomous ball there. Both teams now are in their cycles. Red starting off with a quick couple of possessions, 12:51 and 79, building up the assists. Robots Garage moving forward and shooting. Roaring Riptide playing some D on the Children of the Swamp. Trying to twist them, trying to turn them. Swamp shoots and scores on the angle. Each alliance now beginning another cycle. 79 with possession, moving all the way into that red zone. Gonna hand off to their partner Swamp. Pin count started on 12:51. Swamp shoots and misses. They're gonna give it another shot. Wide open field this time. But they're gonna settle for the low goal. Riptide playing defense, not gonna work. Red Alliance inflating their score, 181 to 85 now. Shot and score by Redneck Robotics. Closing the gap just a little, 20 seconds left in the match. Bumping and grinding in midfield. There goes Swamp with the truss. Up and over, under 10 seconds now. 5 seconds. Up goes the truss shot, but it misses as time expires.
Wow.
Nice.
We were just talking right before the match started. What would you do? And we were saying, I was saying, you got to get in between the scoring zones of those twin robots. And
Right.
it looked like 4118 was doing that. And they were playing defense. I think what I saw happen that was really what made everything different was the fact that the three blue robots would have to all try to push each other to score.
Yes.
Because those red robots were so powerful. As were the red robots, because the three were just pushing each other to score, they were over on the other side scoring while all that was going on.
Exactly. And it's just, again, going back to how effective they are, they would harass, and when it's ready, pull back and get ready to receive the ball. And they're just there whenever they need to be there. And red has been awesome with the assists. And it's just, again, goes back to that communication. They know exactly where to meet the other alliance to get it. And even if another robot from blue comes in, they're able to make the exchange real quick within 3 seconds and move forward.
Yeah, it was great to see those experiences. One thing we haven't even touched on, those twins, they're twins because they were built together.
Yeah.
They practice together.
Yeah.
They know how to play with each other. They know the strengths and weaknesses of the robots, so they know how to play well. 79, really experienced team. They've won a bunch of regionals. They won a lot of stuff.
Right.
They've got a great bot, too. They all just seem to work together. The coaches all know each other. Let's see here now what the score is going to be. There we go. Number 8 moving on.
There it is.
Wow.
Wow. Were you able to see where the tech foul was from? I didn't even recall seeing it at all played.
I don't know. Oh, here we go.
It might have been added later.
He's learning right now. Let's see.
Machine 44-51. There was a combo between 39-98. They both possessed the Red Alliance ball. There was only one ball being possessed, so they were only assessed one technical foul. Didn't even
Red Alliance ball.
affect the outcome of the match.
Look at that.
So we have our first finalist.
First finalists, right?
79,
they went from losing in the first round to being finalists at the regional.
Fantastic.
It shows how intense that first round was. So now, who's going to come from the other side? What are we going to see? We've got number 2 versus number 3, right? They're right on top of each other.
So if you were to take a prediction, who would you put your money on? Number 2 or number 3? I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
It's close.
It's tough.
I'm going to have to say number 2.
Really?
I think 180 and 1590 Poop 2 can both score really well under defense.
Yes.
Now, of course, on the other side of the coin,
that's all they are.
1772, they set the highest score in the nation 3 weeks ago in Palmetto.
Yes.
They're a really, really solid robot. They won here last year.
Right.
So there's a lot of experience there. But I'm putting my money with our 2012 world champions. I'm going with number 2.
You think so? I think I'm going to go with you on that, just based on seeing the driving performance of 1592 all throughout competition, and even 180. I'm really impressed by how those two drivers have gone. I believe I recall that 1592's driver, I think, is his 4th year driving.
Oh.
Yeah, so on top of that, like, that's as good as it's going to get.
As I always say, the only way you learn how to drive a first robot is by driving a first robot, and the more you drive it,
Yeah.
the better you get at it.
Yeah.
I know it's they're all laughing
Correct
at me.
me
but
if
it's
I'm
true.
right or wrong, but that's what I remember hearing over in the pits. So, and I think this, I almost want to say the same thing with 180. Even if it doesn't, you got 2 weeks to go over driving,
Exactly.
before they bag it up and, send it off. So.
Well, 1592, they had a practice spot also. They're
That's
a twin
right.
with 801.
You're
they
right.
built extra robots. They were practicing together too. So these robots are really experienced. I mean, I don't have that information on 744, those other teams, but 1772 has a whole tournament under their belt with this robot.
That's
it's
right.
one thing at home in your warehouse if you can drive around, but on the field is something completely different.
Especially behind the wall where your depth perception is not that great. It's really hard to simulate that back at home in a garage or warehouse or even just outside rolling carpet where we're fortunately able to do here in Florida, not affected by the winter at all with snow or blizzards and all that nonsense.
And Brazil, it's the summertime, so they're...
So, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that. In the Southern Hemisphere. So, again, come to Florida, play with robots.
Yeah, come to Florida, it's better. Looks like they're getting loaded up. Looks like we're getting the intros. We'll go down to the field with Dan Richardson.
Some specialists. They play some pretty decent offense, too. I'd say so. It's 49-01.
The Garnet Squadron of Columbia, South Carolina.
And their partners making a heroic effort on the field. When time expires, this meet is left standing. It's Team 180.
From Stuart, Florida, Spam!
And alongside them, we've got the Alliance captain, Team 1592.
The Bionic Tigers from Cocoa, Florida.
And here we go. Down on the Blue Alliance, not to be outdone. Our last left international team, they want to take home a championship to Brazil. It's Team 1772.
It's the Brazilian Trailblazers.
And their partners, last year's regional champs, 744.
Team Shark Attack from Fort Lauderdale.
And alongside them, we got Team 3932.
They're the Boca Raton Dirty Mechanics.
The bots are on, the gates are locked. Will we find our second finalist? We take it to a third and final rubber match. We've got a thumbs up. Drivers behind the line. 3, 2, 1, go.
Red getting 2 in up high. Blue getting 1 in. Red getting all 3 of their balls up and in the goal. The Blue Alliance getting 2 in for themselves. That's going to give Red the advantage, 65-50 at the end of autonomous period. Team 180 starting the cycle, getting it up and over the truss. 10 more points for the Red Alliance. 1592 scooping it up for the assist and punching it into the high goal for the Red Alliance, extending their lead 95-50. 1772 Brazilian Trailblazers still have to make that ball in order to begin their first cycle. No joy. Here comes the Bionic Tigers, up and in. You're gonna hear them roar. (1772) blazing it. 180 shooting, but not over the truss. 744 taking a bite out of that spam. Trailblazers up and over the truss. Meanwhile, 180 shooting way off course. Big traffic jam in the blue side of the field. Looks like we're going to have a penalty on Team 4901. Garnet Squadron might be a penalty for pinning. Team 744 on the blue side of the field, just trying to get out of the blue side, trying to shoot the ball, but no good. Too much defense from Team 4901. Meanwhile, Spam throwing it over the truss to the human player, to Team 1592, to inside. No, it does not go in. 15 seconds left. 1592 getting pinned against the wall, but they score a low goal. 6 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
I don't want to say that we called it, but we called it.
We did.
It was a great match.
Yes.
One thing that we didn't talk about at all is Garnet Squadron, the third pick.
Mm-hmm.
They were at Palmetto a couple weeks ago also playing against 1772.
No kidding.
They've got matches under their belt also.
Okay.
Even, I don't know if you knew this, Garnet Squadron actually took that 1772 machine, drove it down here for them since they were back in Brazil, and they actually transported that robot here.
Oh, that's nice.
So I don't know if there was a little, thanks for letting us drive down here. I doubt it. They're a pretty competitive team.
Right.
Oh, we saw, great play there, right?
Yes. I mean, to be able to see coordinated and just go back and forth with each other, it seems consistent. I'm a little bit nervous about this alliance moving onward to the 8-seed alliance, for finals.
Yeah, it looks, 180, Spam, they got that trust shot down.
They do.
They know the exact spot where they need to be, and they get there quick, and they make that trust shot look easy.
They do. It doesn't look like they line up and then sit there and try to figure out where to go. Looks like scores coming up.
There we go. Closer than I thought.
Oh, wow.
Tech foul there. I think that was actually on Garnet Squadron.
Okay.
But here they goes. Possessing the opposite line. So unfortunately, there's no incidents involved in that, being that if you incidentally grab it, you get a penalty. If their roller was just rolling and they hit it, it's considered possession. Or if you block a little, it's a very, very slippery slope with that penalty there.
Right.
So now we've got our final set. There it is up on the screen. Number 8 versus our number 2.
Yep. It'll be real interesting to see how it goes.
It really is.
Yes.
We've got offense versus, I would say defense, but we're seeing that's not necessarily the case.
Right. They've actually been able to assist each other appropriately, and whenever they're not busy, they jockey for position and actually do zone control with defense.
Right.
They're really smart about that. So it's hard for me to say at this point, if it was going to be 8 or number 2. Considering like how brilliant Spam has been over the years when it comes to strategy and actually understanding the games every year.
Yeah, 180 analysis, they know exactly what to do coming into it. Their robot, they can grab the ball quick, they can shoot the ball quick, but they're a relatively low shot, meaning that their release point is relatively low. We know that the 1251 and 179 machines have those big wings that go all the way to the height limit.
Yes.
And I'd say they probably are a little more powerful than Spam. So we'll see what happens there.
Especially with the way that the shifting has been lately. Now, granted, like we heard from 744, that they've been shifting to low gear and staying low gear predominantly most of the matches. So we know that pushing is actually critical when it comes to these defensive finals. So how much that's going to portray with these two alliances is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, if I was on the field, what would you do? I think if I was on that number 8 alliance,
yes,
we can see that the high and low speeds are pretty fast on those twin bots.
Yes.
I would put 1251, the not so scoring machine, on Spam to try to shut him down. But then 1592 is super, super strong. Oh, so it looks like we're going to go down to the curtain. Valentina's got someone from 1772 down there, the Brazilian Trailblazers. Valentina?
Hi, I'm here with Team 1772, and I was going to ask them, how was your last match?
We played very hard, but unhappily we lost. But it's not a problem. Last year we won, so we are happy.
Okay, good at least. And what was your strategy?
Our strategy is just make more points capable because our robots have a very large OPR. So we tried it, but the defense killed us.
It's okay, don't worry. And where would you be going next?
For sure, Disney World.
Oh, great. Have fun. Now we'll be back upstairs.
Hey, here we are.
That's
all
right.
right. So we're actually, we were yelling at our sound guy to get set up. We're going to have James come back and talk about, the 3 of us are going to cover the finals because
it's that exciting. Why not have more voices in the crowd?
More voices down here. Valentina getting some good information there from the Brazilian Trailblazers. I were talking to them last year. They're a really great bunch of teams. So, James, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. I guess the microphone's turned on, I hope.
I think so. If not, I just look really ridiculous, which is not, unusual.
No, you just end up looking like George during practice days with a pencil, just talking to himself right there and just practicing.
Or George tomorrow, which is going to be like this.
Oh,
So right now we're in a 5-minute break. It's built in. Let the robots cool off. So what do you think? Who do you think? You have number 8 versus number 2. We're coming from the opposite sides of the bracket. What do you think?
Oh gosh, it's tough. I love the dynamic between 179 and 1251 right now because they do seem to trade off a lot. I like the way they both can play a very solid defense and seem to be able to score pretty efficiently. But the 180 cycle is so good. I love it so much. Yeah.
It's so delicious.
I've never called spam delicious, but this time.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
It's really
Gabe does like eating random things, so I mean.
True.
Robot
true.
in 3 days, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Just
like
Gabe
eating. Period.
That's for you, Jessica Boucher. So.
Hello.
So I think I agree with you though. I mean, it's gonna go either way as to who can win. We can see whatever's gonna happen. We're actually gonna talk to you guys about a really cool new program that was started here, or I don't know started here, but we met them here. They're called Bennett Parks, and they have a great little program that we got a little package here to show you about what they have.
I'm here with Aaron Hahn and Tim Carter, and they are the founders of Bin of Parts. But before we hear about what Bin of Parts is, can you all just tell me maybe what team you're from and why you continue to come back to be involved with FIRST?
Sure, we're actually from Team 1612, the Robo Sharks, from Brooksville. But yeah, we did that 4 years in high school, and we competed at this regional. And in 2010, we actually won the Orlando Regional. So yeah, and we actually came back. We've been volunteering and mentoring for the past 3-4 years.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little about what Bin of Parts is. It's this cool new thing that we just heard about yesterday. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really new parts trading app that we're building, and it's going to be able to inventory all the parts in the spare parts table, and all the teams will be able to sign up and trade parts with each other and find out if the spare parts table at the event has the parts that they need.
So wherever you go to whatever regional, you have a serial number or something that connects the app to that bin of parts?
Yeah, basically it's going to, so also it's not going to just be necessarily the bin of parts, it's going to be the spare parts table, and also all the other teams can help each other out with whatever parts they're looking for. So it just makes it so much more functional, so you know what's in inventories and other people can help out whenever they're at the competition.
And so, what's the end goal of Bin of Parts? Are you going to travel around to every single regional with this app, or what do you want to see it to do?
I would love to do that, but unfortunately we can't be at every regional. But we definitely want to be able to have teams be able to trade away from the events. So our end goal is to be able to have a website where people can trade and ship parts to other teams, or say, hey, we need this for this regional. Can you bring this with you guys? So our end goal is really away from events. But we're just starting out at the events just to get everyone the parts they need at the events.
And then really quick, how did you come up with this idea? Where was the inspiration for it? Everything like that.
Actually, one thing that did help was every year we find our robot parts closet is full of extra stuff that we just have sitting there. So we thought, why just have it sitting there when you could trade with another team that might need it? And also, when we came to the competition, we were doing inventory, and we're like, this is the crazy system, no inventory, no nothing. So we created something to fix that problem.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for letting me talk to you a little bit more about Bin of Parts.